Hey everybody, Coach Matthew here. Don't let your eyes deceive you. It has been 9 months since my last MIGHTcast MIGHTcast. Going into that one, we were leading into a championship game in the spring season of the Berkeley County Parks and Rec. After that, I ended up working for a local high school as well as doing another season in Berkeley County. Oh, I've got a lot to talk about in that, but I'm not going to get to that today. That's going to be on an upcoming episode. Today, I'm going to talk about the winter Jefferson County Parks and Rec season, where my group of girls was able to go undefeated, the perfect season, not dropping a set. I'm going to break down all the details of that, as well as what we are going to be doing coming forward here in the spring, going into the summertime. Welcome back. This is the MTNeer MIGHTcast. Stay tuned. Thank you everybody for tuning back into the MTNeer MIGHTcast. I got a couple quick things before I get started. It will not take me long. First thing, I have a young son upstairs who is sick. So if you hear any screaming or anything, he's okay. His mom's with him. He'll be all right. But I do have to make sure if there is some crazy noise on here that y'all are aware of that. Secondly, we are supposed to get some really bad weather. It has not happened yet. It may happen. I am filming this in my garage. I know, no special studio. So if you hear any crazy noises or anything loud, just know the kid's okay. The weather, hopefully outside, is okay as well. You hear sirens, it's going to make for an interesting MIGHTcast. But let's go ahead and rewind and go back to last year, because I think it is important to discuss the season, which brings into this season, and how we were able to finish the story and redeem last year. So, last winter, after we had finished up in the fall with the Berkeley County Parks and Rec, we had won that championship in there, and I decided I wanted to take my daughters to step up in competition and go against some older girls. So I was able to get my daughters in the Jefferson County Parks and Rec League. This league, I believe, last year was 11 to 15 years old. Ultimately, there's a little bit older competition in that league, but I wanted to bring my girls up and see if I could get them more used to real volleyball, and as far as setting and hitting and just more advancement in the games go. So we decided to go that route, hoping with if we were able to play with some older girls, we could end up doing that and focusing on those aspects of the game as they continue to develop. So we were able to get in that league. I was able to bring my daughters, Alina and Addie, over, as well as two other girls from our Berkeley team who joined us for that season. So we were still very young. I believe Alina and Addie for sure. I know I'm her dad. I'm really, really bad at ages, but I don't believe Alina was old enough or just turned old enough to play in that league. You got to forgive me on that one. But it definitely was a step up in the competition in the age group, because Addie was a lot younger at the time, and so was one of the girls we were bringing over. But I knew skill-wise they could compete. So we ended up getting in that league. Long story short, we had a great season. We ended up losing only 2 games. We were able to beat all the other teams, except one team who we had them on the ropes a couple times. We were never able to pull it out. They were a great team, and ultimately we came up short in the finals. I talked about it very early on in the MIGHTcast. If you want to go back and watch episode 1, I went more in depth on that season. But we were disappointed. We got second place. I really felt like that team could have won that, but I had a lot of young girls going up against a lot of older girls. But we proved ourselves, and I knew that long term, with the certain corrections, as well as my daughters just getting older, we could compete and we could possibly win that league. Fast forward, we go through the spring in Berkeley County. Oh, I got a lot to talk about Berkeley. That one, you will want to stay tuned for that upcoming MIGHTcast. There's a lot I got to say on that league. But anyway, then we ended up going into the fall at Berkeley. Another, I would say, okay season. A little bit lower expectations. At the time, I was coaching at Martinsburg High School, so I was not able to have any girls in 7th grade or above in that league. So my team was a little bit younger, but again, that's okay. I still want to compete with that because I believe with the right pieces, and I was able to bring a lot of girls back and get some new girls who were able to build into the system. For that, I believe, finished maybe 3rd in that league. Again, we had a chance going into, I think, the final 2 weeks to end up winning that league. We just were not able to. Just kind of is what it is. Again, I will go more in depth on that when I talk about the Berkeley League. But we were able to bring back one of our girls as we went into this winter league. So now we're going to Jefferson. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but it was important. I was able to bring back one of the girls from our previous championship season. Zoe was able to come back and play with us again, which she was not able to in the fall due to the restrictions I was under when it comes to recruiting in high school. So we're able to get her back. I was also able to get two girls who had already been in the system, one for one season, one for multiple seasons, and Natalie and Ann. The interesting part with these two is when we won the Berkeley Championship back in the fall in that minis division, Ann and Natalie were on the team that we beat, which plays into this as we go into it. Ultimately, I wanted in last spring when we were in the Berkeley season. I really hoped we won that. We got second place in that one in the juniors division, which I got a lot to talk about that one too. I've never come back to. The very last MIGHTcast that I did, I believe it was episode 8, was right before we got into the playoffs and the championship. So I will come back to that one. That's another fiery one. Stay tuned for the Berkeley one. The Martinsburg one will be as well. But we're going to go to this one. We're going to start out peaceful before we start, shooting strays out there. So as we get into these, I had a group of girls who had been with us before coming back, as well as some who just been in the system. Zoe is a taller athlete, great middle, good outside hitter. You have Alina, who's focusing on being a setter, and you have Addie, my youngest daughter, who's basically the libero in the position. So we had a lot of really good pieces leading in. We're able to bring in some other girls and ultimately create one heck of a team for this league. Now, last year when Addie and Milani came into the league age was a little bit higher. So I believe, like I said, it was 11 to 14 or 15. Not 100%. I do know it was higher. This year, they bumped it down. They lowered the overall age, I think, from 15 to 14. Again, not 100%. And then they ended up lowering the younger age. So now they were open to 9-year-olds. I will joke and say that Addie and Milani broke the league because they played so well. But those girls, for being their age, they had a lot of seasons already ahead of them. I think Addie was in her third, or Milani might have been in the third or fourth season, but they had already come in with some skills. They weren't brand new out of the bat, which did change this league up a little bit, which there's nothing wrong with that. You have to start somewhere. I was hoping overall the competition level would be a little bit higher, but I do have to give the teams credit because they did come after us, and a lot of teams gave us our best game. When I break down the games here, I'm going to go through a whole mess of them here because I want to try to encapsulate this entire season in one MIGHTcast here. So going into it, I was able to have Alina, Addie, Zoe, Natalie, and I believe those 5 were my returning players. So I knew I had a strong 5 group. Obviously volleyball 6, you would hope you would sprinkle in some other players throughout there, and I was able to. We had, I believe, 2 girls who had never played before and a few with some other experience and stuff. But the nice thing was we got a lot of pieces that allowed us to have really solid defense, multiple hitters, multiple setters, and really build out a team, which I'll kind of come back to. So as we kind of go into the league, ultimately how this works is you practice for, I believe, 3 weeks, and then you start playing games. We did miss 1 practice overall, which I wanted to try to mess with rotations a little bit more. Even though I felt like we had a strong group, the rotation thing, I wanted them to kind of get a little bit more advanced volleyball. But I believe the last practice before, and this happened last year too, right before the first game, it ended up getting canceled due to weather. The Jefferson County Parks and Rec building is way out, and so when the weather gets rough, the snow and the ice, we can't end up making that league work. So we ended up missing that, so I couldn't teach rotations. So let's go ahead and let's hit the first game. Practices were good, just trying to build up cohesiveness and teamwork throughout. I knew the girls had some of the skills going in. I knew we'd improve it. So we're going to go ahead and hit to game number 1, which was against the black team. Now, this is not the same black team of last year, the one we lost to. But again, it's some of the girls are returning from the other teams and stuff like that too. So we get to game 1, and we start out, we just get hammered. I believe we are down very early, maybe 8-1, 7-1 or whatever. The girls end up finally getting a chance to serve, and they come back, and we end up pulling away game 1. And we just survived. The rotation wasn't great. I'm still trying to learn the girls and get them in the best positions. There was some good plays made. I just did not have the most powerful rotation and the most cohesive unit of girls out there together. But you learn. In this league, and I don't even know if some of the parents or grandparents knew this because I heard there were some complaints every once in a while, but that's okay. In this league, so we ultimately had 10 girls. As far as rotations work, every girl has to play at least 2 plays in a rotation. So when they come in, they got to be in for at least 2 parts of that rotation before they move out. Now, my goal was to give majority of the girls 3. So every girl would be able to get 3 as they come in. That way they build up the experience. Because ultimately, this is not about winning, it's about development. Yes, we want to win because I've said it before. Winning is a transfer of the skills. What you do in the practices, transfer onto the court. So there is an importance to winning, in my opinion, not at the detriment to the fundamentals in the game itself, but we wanted to make sure that they were still, what they were doing in practice would translate, because by doing that, with my experience, the more you win throughout there, their confidence builds up and they start to see that, hey, this is not just tennis, or for all you hip people, pickleball now, where it's just back and forth and back and forth. We want to see girls work to a setter, end up trying to make a hit attempt and do that, which I thought the team was pretty good at this year. A lot of girls had not done that before, so it was different trying to work on that. But anyway, we survived the first game. I believe we maybe won each set by 8 to 10 points, even though we were down. We were down, but the playmakers came in and they made plays. They did what they had to do in order for us to pull away and win that game. So we started out 1-0 against that black team again, coming back, because if you started watching that game, I think a lot of the parents who had been with me before were thinking, what is going on this one? Because it started out very, very ugly, but we were able to turn the tide on that and come back, which, again, you're going to get battle tested. We got it multiple times throughout the season, but we're able to pull that one out and get a solid victory in that game. Going into week 2, which was the green team. This one is an interesting one. Because we're going to play green again when we get to this little championship, per se, here at the end of the season. So I did want to bring that one up. Real quick, I'm going to set my phone now because I am recording using that. So let's go ahead and let's hit this green game. The story of the game was definitely different as far as the score goes from what that team was. I knew very early on in the green game. Now, mind you, in this league, the rules are a little bit different for serving. So in the Berkeley League, for instance, you serve 6 in a row. If you score on all 6, then you end up rotating and another player from your team continues serving. You can keep doing that, but there's no cap. You could, if you had girls good enough to come up, you could get all girls up and win 25-0. Jefferson is a little bit different in the fact of, after you get 5, you then give the other team the ball as well as a point. So we would get a point, but they would get a point too. That way no teams get beat 25-0, which I don't see happening, but I understand the point of the rule, and that's totally okay. That's part of the game. It did cost us last year because we were able to, the other part with that rule is when a team hits 15, unlimited serving starts to happen. Now, I talked about it in the old MIGHTcast. You can go back to number 1. This bit us because we hit 15 before most teams did. They would sub in a server, and that server could go off. Not necessarily a fan of that. If it was up to me personally, I think that the team who hits 15 should be able to go, not the other team, whatever. I don't make the league, but it is a great league, and I don't want to argue with that. There's no point going into too much on that one. Again, coach girls how to play better serve receive, get yourself out of those scenarios. That's kind of my thought on it. So to talk a little bit more about the rules of this league. So I mentioned kind of the subbing, how that works with the rotations and getting girls in. The other thing is they want to keep it more traditional to where you can only sub for the same player. So if 2 girls, they have to sub in and out with each other, which ultimately makes the rotation. That way you can't just pull your best servers and bring them back up. So there is some strategy involved with the coaching aspect of it. My goal, get every single girl for 3 rotations, regardless of skill and development, because they need the work too. The only way you're going to get better is to get out there and ultimately set the team up for success. So early on, I kind of had to figure out this lineup. So let's go ahead and get to game 2 against the green team. I could tell the score was not really what it should have been. I believe, you'd have to look, I believe we won the first set 25-7, and 2 of their points came on us getting through the 5 serves and having to rotate to another girl. Second set, I believe we won 25-16. It was a coasted victory. Now, here's the interesting thing with this first game. It is the only game that I have ever been a part of, the entire game, not just the set, the entire game where a ball has not hit the floor that a girl did not make an effort on or a call in an attempt, which is insane to me, especially at this age, because most time players don't know whose ball it is and they watch it, or a serve comes over, the positioning's weird, and the ball hits. The team did something I had never seen before. That doesn't mean that obviously the other team didn't score points. They did, but this team was not letting balls hit the ground. There was probably the best play, one of, if not out of three I've ever seen. One of the girls on our team, Ella, she ends up getting an award for this. She won't even, I don't know if they'd watch this anyway, but I'm not going to spoil anything. It was the play of the year, one of the best plays I've ever seen in the game, where somebody spikes the ball, they spike it hard back row. She's able to make a play going backwards, watches the ball, realizes it, steps out of the way. Another girl's able to get underneath it, sprinting, no mind you, pop it up. Ella is able to circle and hit that ball over and score on the person who hit it. It was a crazy play. The only part that stinks is I did not have this good camera, which all of my YouTube video went from this camera. The previous seasons I used a tablet, which was not great, to live stream. Then I would try to get the videos down. This year I have a designated camera that films the games. That's why the YouTube quality is so high footage, and Facebook deletes the live videos after 30 days, so they don't stay there. So I want the girls to be able to go back. I know mine have watched them a ton, and it's good to have. So the only thing is I did not have my good camera that day. I forgot it at work. I wish I would have had the best quality of that play. It's an amazing play. It is one that I always say, until the ball hits the ground, stay down, stay ready. The next ball is always your ball. You just don't know. And especially at this age, girls are really good about hitting the ball backwards and behind their head. And next thing you know, you're watching or celebrating early and the other team scores on you. So I do got to give Ella credit. One amazing play in that game. Overall, just solid play out of us. The other team, though, the thing I realized, and I didn't realize it at the time, but as I went back and watched the film getting ready for this game, is they were pretty solid on serve receive in their passing. Where they tended to struggle was their third ball. In the beginning of the season, they didn't really know whose ball was the third ball, and we would get them out of system quite often. Now, for those of you who don't know, out of system means that when a ball is served over, if the defensive player can't make a correct pass to get it to the setter, and then they're able to run a system play, everything else is called out of system. So a lot of volleyball, especially at this age, is played out of system because the passing's not there. So what would tend to happen is if we could put pressure on that initial pass, they couldn't get it to a setter, or whoever would hit it in the middle of multiple girls, and they would just stand there, and then the ball would hit the ground. So defensively, they had some pretty solid stuff. They just had to polish up a little bit of who was going to get that third ball, which we see coming into the second time we played them. So we ended up getting out with that one. Again, I'm starting to figure out the best unit for this team, how to set them up. The girls are serving, they're playing well, they're doing what they need to do. They're starting to become a team. We get to the third game, which is Navy. We end up, it's pretty similar. We pull that one out. I think in the end, most sets either won by 10 or 8. Just did what we had to do, ultimately pulled out that game. Same thing. We got them out of system very, very early on. Our servers, they hit the ball hard. They hit it all over the place. I would love to say that they're aiming and doing that on purpose. They're not. They're just hitting hard balls, and teams just, it's not consistent to where they're going. There was only one girl on my team who consistently put the first ball at the setter, which is a strategy to do, especially if the other girls aren't ready and at that age, which is very hard to hit that front spot. But if you do it correctly on serving and they're not switching setters in and out, you can see it really messes teams up because they're trying to pass. And if the setter has to take the first ball, usually everything just kind of breaks down from there. So we targeted the setter quite a bit, able to get up on that one. We pull that one out. Another solid game. The girls are doing really, really well. And by that time, I figured out the lineup and the best way to use the girls. So we get to the fourth game. This is the interesting game because we are going against the team that practiced, that we scrimmage. And one of the early times of the season, we scrimmaged them. Now, with this scrimmage, and I didn't know this, so I'm not going to take credit for it being strategy because it wasn't. They ended up, I would say they kicked our butt in the scrimmage. Now, I know the players may think differently of that, but I didn't think we played very, very well in that scrimmage. A lot of girls not in positions they're used to playing. We're just putting them around. And again, you could say strategically it was good because I maybe gave them a false hope versus the team that they got a few weeks later. But overall, I didn't think the scrimmage went great. But here's the cool part with that orange team, the team that we played. They had two of the girls who were on my team last year, this white team. I had three really, really strong girls that were friends. One of them, I believe, is playing club ball. I hope she's doing great with their club. The other two came back because I believe that they're all soccer is their main sport. But anyway, the girls are good. They're really, really good. And we knew going into it, at least me and my daughters did, and I tried to kind of warn the other girls that, hey, these girls are coming to play. This team is solid. They've got some really, really good girls on this team. We've got to bring it, or if you do what you've done in the first 3 games, it's not going to be enough. You're going to have to come out. So both teams, I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe we came into that, maybe, I know we were 3-0. They might have been 2-1, or they might have been 3-0 as well. But I knew that game was going to be tough. So we get to the orange game, and I mean, I hype this up with my daughters. Now, I want to explain something. When we hit big games, because I do track the other players in the league, as far as you kind of start to learn as you're in these leagues longer, who's who, who's really good, and just you get a feel for who else is in the league. And the big games, where most people want to be like, we're just going to relax, we're going to focus on us, that's all fine and dandy. I talk these games up to my daughters to where they go in and they've got killer instinct. To where if the other team, and this is maybe a secret for all you other teams, or if you eventually play us, my daughters know, and they are coming after these big games. And this is one of them. I've talked about it in the Berkeley leagues. We've had a couple other teams that are like this, where we are so hyper-focused on beating these teams, because ultimately it's going to lead you to your goal. These are the best teams in the league. The other ones you expect to beat. These are the ones that are going to really prove how your development's going, where you are as a team. So I had hyper-focused in on this one. And I told them, you're going to come out, you want to bring the effort, the energy, and the intensity. Those are 3 terms that I use all the time. Effort. I want 100% effort on every single play. If you do that, you're already going to be good because you know you're not going to be standing around. Energy, I want it loud. I want the chanting, the cheering, the feet stomping, the clapping. When you get an ace, you celebrate. On kills, you celebrate. That's not just for the players, that's the bench as well. And intensity, you are coming out there with everything that you have that's outside of effort, and you are bringing it. You're combining the two. We want the entire thing. We want to put the pressure on. Effort, energy, intensity, those are 3 things that I preach. If you bring those in a game, you're going to win. Okay. Now, again, I understand skill gap wise, whatever. But in similar scenario, the team that has those 3 things is going to come out, and I preach them. I'm telling you, without one of those, it's not going to happen. And it will come back on a later MIGHTcast because I have a lot to say as far as another team that I coach that I want to bring up. But not today. That one's coming. So we were able to do that. We ended up winning that first set 25-9. I believe 9. We shocked them. They were not ready for what was coming. Again, my daughters were ready to go. My assistant coach's daughter. There are other players on the team who were as well. But again, I talked to my assistant coach a lot. Zoe had played with us before. She knows how it goes when we get into these games. Same with Alina and Addie. I tell my daughters, you take over this game. You make this your game. I ask all the players early in the beginning of the season, who wants to be the best player on the team? I hope every single girl raises their hand. They usually don't. They're trying to be polite. But now's the time to show who the best player is, not just on your team, on the entire court, in the entire league in these games. So we come into these games, they're almost like a rivalry for us. I don't know if the other teams feel that way. If they don't, sorry. That's the way I train my kids. I want them to have that killer instinct. So that's why I put it in them now, because I believe later on down the line, that will benefit them. So we just hammered them in that first set, which felt great. But I knew that team was not going to go down like that, and sure as heck they didn't. We get to that second set, and it is back and forth the entire time. There's great plays being made on both sides. A lot of hard work out of all the girls. And we end up getting down, I believe, their best server. I believe she was their best server. Kayla, who was on our team last year, just starts rifling us. And they end up getting like a 3-point lead. I believe it's, again, I'm not 100%. I think it's like 21-18. And I mean, she's able to go off at this point, and my girls have no answer. If you go back and watch the video, I mean, she's got girls spinning, and she's a heck of a server. I mean, she's got a hard jump serve at this age, and it's good. Yeah, she brings the heat. And so the girls just could not handle it. Now, I'm not 100%. Again, I know I say that a lot, but you can always go back and watch this. I do this off the top of my head. She either missed the serve and like served it and it hit the net, or one of the girls hit it back. With really, really good servers, I'm going to give you a little strategy that I teach my team. At this age, with really good servers, we don't mess around. We don't pass the ball. We're just putting the ball right back over the court. Most time teams don't expect it, especially if it's a hard-driven ball. We can create that dig or really put the pressure on coming back at teams. A lot of times you'll catch teams off guard because they're watching the ball come in, and if you just send it back really, really quickly, which is a little easier for the girls to hit a ball back over versus trying to pass and really slow the ball down. Sometimes it's easier to just let the girls be athletes and go in there and hit the ball and then hope for the best and then play it out. And so I don't remember what happened exactly, but ultimately we were able to get the ball back. Now, this is kind of the cool part. So Addie, my daughter, she's played solid defense throughout the year, but serving just was not there. She was going back and forth on her serves. For anybody who's watched her, you know about the yeet serve, the sidearm serve, the crazy, one of the coolest serves, but boy, the inconsistency is just, it's high. It's like a coin flip serve. She can crack that thing, or she can just completely biff it because she's throwing the ball sideways. She's hitting it off her arm. Plus, she's small. It's kind of an entertaining serve to see. You know, it's just not worth it. And she was going back and forth between that. She's trying to learn a spin serve at the same time, where Alina is a traditional float server. Addie wants to do a spin serve. What are you going to do? Kids are going to be kids. Anyway, so she ends up coming up, and she is able to get, I believe it's 2 or 3 points off the serves. And ultimately, we were able to catch back up. We end up getting right there to be able to close the game out. And again, you got to win by 2. And we're not able to do it. We go back and forth the next couple plays, and it's just crazy volleyball. Now, the energy's there. Everybody's there. Mind you, we just walloped them in the first set. They're battling for everything in the second set. Ultimately, we were able to pull it out. I believe it ended up 29-27, something like that. There was a play. Natalie ended up having a dig where she ended up just hitting it back over and catching in between the front and the back row in the opposite corner. Heck of a dig to end up sealing that game to pull out the victory in that one. Kudos to the entire Orange team, but especially the 2 girls who used to be on our team last year. It was great to see that. Those are the kind of games that I love. The energy games, the tight games. Again, it is nice to be able to go out there and win by a lot. But this one's different because these ones are going to challenge you, which this team needed. So they pulled it out. So going from there, they are 4-0. Now, we get to the red team, which I believe was actually the undefeated team. Coached by a really, really good coach. Not that all these coaches aren't good. The coach of the red team is a really solid coach. We get to that game. We handle our business in the first set. I believe same kind of thing. We end up pulling out 8 to 10 point difference. Addie's not playing great, which we'll come back up. But we end up doing our thing. We get that first set. We get to the second set. And we hit point it's like 14, 15, or 16. I don't know. My team really tends to struggle right here. And the weird thing is with this is we're not I don't believe we're in a weaker rotation. Just something happens. The other team, there's a little bit more fight on the other team. Now, I realize, too, when you start getting up in these leagues and you win, other teams go into desperation. They stop passing as much, and they start getting out of the traditional volleyball, and they're just trying to stay afloat. And so you got to be real careful, because if you're not paying attention, you're looking for 3 hits, they're going to get you on the second hit or maybe even the first one. So you've got to always, this is where you really need to engage and focus when you get to some of these games, because coaches want to keep the games alive. It's like, well, if we can just get to the third set. So sometimes, I'm not saying this team did this. This is my experience with it. I've coached a lot of youth. This is what tends to happen. And they fought and they started clawing back, and it was getting loud for the other team. My team had to withstand it. Ultimately, we were able to pull it out and end up winning that game, which from that point, we ended up beating black, green, navy, orange, red. That's all 5 of the teams. We ended up knocking them all out. We ended up being 5-0 at that point. We had done it. We had got through that, and ultimately it was the second set of those 2 games were tough. And they challenged this team, because you can see, especially in this, momentum shifting. You can kind of see it. The girls, again, I've coached boys, girls, there's differences in it. the amount of internalization is a little bit different. So you're having to keep the team in there versus, not that you can't do it, I don't recommend you do it. A lot of times you can be harder on boy teams with some of that. You don't want to do that far with the girls teams. Not that they're not tough. Don't comment on here saying I'm not saying girls aren't tough. But I know what I'm dealing with at this age. I have enough experience. I probably have, 75 to 100 games at this level under my belt of being able to coach this, and I know how they respond to it. So building up that mental toughness needs to be there. My daughters have went through that in the other leagues and seen the struggle and seen that. It's good to be able to have that in their other girls who were. So we're able to pull that out. So we end up 5-0. We got through the gauntlet of the league. This is where it's going to get interesting. Now, I'm not, for those of you who know me, because you're already watching this, so you know me, I've always talked about this. This is very important to me. Yes, I understand this is Parks and Recreation. I've talked about it before. I cannot afford club ball for 2 daughters. I can't. I want to give girls a club-esque experience, which I'm up there as a coach. I'm good enough to coach club. I coached high school. It's, again, nothing against club coaches or whatever. I want to be able to give that experience to them. So I make this about more than just a team. MTNeer Might is a brand in and of itself coming into these leagues and stuff. Obviously, you don't get this kind of stuff because I'm trying to build something through this, through my daughters, focus on a brand and getting girls into something that feels special. That has been the mission since day one. There's a couple things I talk about that are very, very important to me. That is one of them, for this to be special. That's why I do all this. That's why I have the videos. That's why I live stream the games. It's not to be cocky at all. I've had parents who have to work during the games who then are able to watch their daughters play via live stream, or grandparents or other people, and they can show people. That's why the games are live streamed. They're not there to watch other teams. Yes, you can learn from that. I was able to learn from that. But if anything, everybody else has got the link. You can jump on my Facebook and view us, and you get to see us right away and see what we do. It's not about that. It's about providing something special for them, that then they've had family members who are able to watch that. We get a lot of views. Each game gets anywhere between 200 to 300 views on it. I can see those statistics that come in, as well as the YouTube views that go on it from there. That's why I do this. So what I did, and you could say this is extremely cocky, you could say it's stupid, whatever. I'm going to go on the lines of, this is the belief that I had in my team and my daughters. Because I knew the season was coming to an end and I wanted to offer it, I went ahead and made shirts for people to order. Because again, I didn't want to put, this is up to them. On the shirt, it said, which we were, because we got through the gauntlet, we beat everybody. It said League Champions, which was fine. The issue was I put undefeated season on the shirt, because I had the belief that, again, we played the black team the first time. We did pretty well, and we were way out of alignment. Our team's clicking by now. So I have the belief they're going to beat them, as well as green. I knew the thing with green, though. I knew that team was a lot better than what they saw the first time, and I made sure my team was aware of that. And they were going to, there's a lot of weeks that have passed, they're going to make improvements. We made them, but so did they. So be ready. So anyway, I made these shirts and hoodies, and I ordered it early. My daughters wanted them early. I wanted to get them to the team. That way, in the end, if we were able to, and again, this was up to everybody else. I did not force people to buy these. It was a choice to purchase one. If you wanted to, you could risk it for it to say undefeated season, even though we had not done it yet. Now, for me, that in my head says, I'm going to go out and make darn sure that this thing says undefeated, and it means it, and I'm not going to lose. But again, you can see it how you see it. That was the intent behind why I did what I did with these sweatshirts and hoodies. That way, those who could get them early could have them for the very last game. You could wear them for the pictures and whatnot. Risky, but in the end, it ends up paying off. So we get back to the black game where we come against them. Now, this is an interesting game here because we have 2 of our players out for this game. I don't know if they had any out or whatnot, but what this did was it allowed, throughout the season, Alina and Zoe were the only 2 girls who did not rotate. Now, based on the rotations I had and putting girls in the positions I felt were best for them and cohesiveness of the unit, Zoe was the top middle. as well as the top hitter on my team. On top of that, she's very strong defensively, even in the other areas. Her hustle is close to unmatched. So she has the ability to play a lot more than some of the others. That's why I put her in. But she's also willing to pass and facilitate the ball, which is why I let Alina play every single game and not come out. There's a couple reasons. Number one, serving. She was getting a lot of aces and a lot of points off serving. That helps right there. That builds it up. Also, Alina by nature is a setter. She definitely wants to set and facilitate other players. She can hit herself, and she proved that throughout the season, but she wants to set and facilitate the ball. So having her in and focusing on a setter who can set from whether they want to go from the front right or the left or the middle, whatever, and allow for hitting, because I actually like back row hitting more at this age than I do front row, because I think girls are able to swing a little bit more, go through the arm motion. That's why Alina was able to play, and defensively she had stepped up this year. So they never came out, that's kind of important to get this some stuff. So if anybody, not that they won on my team, because again we won, and winning helps a lot of that. If anybody questions that, that is why. As far as the two most well-rounded players, I believed it was Alina and Zoe. There are a few other girls who could compete with that, but there's some other things as far as effort goes and mentality that kind of prevented the other girls from getting that extra spot and time in there. So we get to this game here. We have two girls out. So I make the decision. Addie, my other daughter, and Annabelle are going to be the two they're two probably defensive specialist players, could be liberos. I said they were going to stay in the entire game. Now here's the thing that I got to give Addie credit for. Playing a libero I will always say it's the hardest position in volleyball. I know a lot of people are going to say setter. Listen, you're not even going to get to the balls, and I realize this coaching high school, if the first pass doesn't come anywhere near you, you're never going to get good sets, which ultimately is never going to not lead to a hit. Now, on top of that, you're chasing down serves, which are very, very hard. You got some good girls who can serve. Libero is not an easy position to play, at least in my opinion. Maybe if you're just a natural at it, you're fine. I'm naturally a setter, or I could even do middle or hit. Libero is not my specialty, but Addie was able to do that. Now, you play your entire league basically ending up on somebody's highlights, just going off and going off and going off. Because even if you make a great pass, it's still not the same as the person who gets the ace. I understand that. So, Addie finally got her chance to shine, and boy, did she shine in that game, and I knew it. I knew going in, because the previous game she just wasn't there, and she was struggling. I said, if I give her the time to be on the court more, build this up, she's going to have one heck of a game. And sure as heck she did. Annabelle, the same thing, letting them play more. Ultimately, you saw more quality play. The passes, the hits, the variety of stuff. The other girls getting involved. We ended up taking that game against Black. Same thing, 8-10 points. Got through it. Heck of a game by Addie to end up sealing that one. Again, all the girls too, but Addie, to kind of cap off, you basically have been, again, everybody's highlights all season. She's made some heck of a passes and gotten out of there, but again, a pass versus a kill, most people are going to want to see the kills, and so you're just trying to prevent that. So kudos to every single libero out there, anybody willing to stand in that back row and take on the servers, because it's a hard job to do, especially at this age where girls aren't necessarily sure whose ball is what ball and whatever else. Having to react and make that pass is a tough thing. So you're always going to have my support and my credit. So we end up getting to that one. Now, we've got one game to go. How much time? I don't even know where I'm at on here, but I'm still talking anyway. I know there are plenty of people who have told me they want this to come back. Let's do it one part, let's do it two parts, many parts. I got a lot to hit. The other ones are going to be, I don't want to say fiery going forward. I got to watch it, how much I want to say, but the other ones, they're going to have their points to them. So to hit this one, so we get to this final game, and I knew, because I rewatched this game multiple times, this team, if they figure out whose ball is the third ball, they're a different team. And they were. We ended up coming out the first game, the first set, and we were able to win that. Same thing, maybe 8-10 points, something like that. And again, I could be wrong. If it's 5, I'm sorry. I just think there was enough margin of victory to where we got through that one. And then it starts to really, really set in. Now, I would say out of all games, this game was packed. And whether it was the other team and the fact of really wanting to beat us, because again, we were this team last year who was sitting there wanting the rematch against the team who was the best in the league, the undefeated team. And I hyped it like, I want this team. I want to end there. Even though they beat us once, I want to be the team that knocks them off. So I knew this team wasn't going to go down easy. The environment was rocking. The bleachers were filled, and we had people around the sides, which was so crazy for this. So for anybody on my team, the families who are watching this, thank you for that. The girls need this environment. This is the fun stuff. Sometimes these gyms seem like there's nobody in it. That did not feel that way, as well as the other side. Kudos if anybody from the green team watches this. That was amazing to have your fans there. It made for one heck of a game. There was a lot of cheering going on. So we get to that second set, and they did not go down easy. We ended up getting up on them. I got to give you credit because I think it's 10-3 or 11-3 us, and they start fighting back because that rule kicks in where we got to give them the ball and the serve thing and all that. Oh, man, it got tough. We ended up getting to a point where they started making a run. I was able to call a timeout, get the girls to refocus. Now, there's a lot of pressure at this point. You have an undefeated season on the line, but not just that, you're perfect. You haven't dropped a set. And what you've been doing so far, which is hard at this age to do. You haven't dropped a set, you got that. And I've already spent $120 on hoodies for my kids. I don't know what the other family spent, but you do not want to put almost undefeated on this thing and, change it up. So the pressure was on us to pull that one out. The other team could play loose. Because again, if you go by it, they weren't necessarily expected to beat us. It was us who had everything on the line, the perfect season, the people that have ordered this, the families and stuff there. There was a lot going into it. The girls were able to pull away. I got to give one of the girls, Natalie, I got to give her credit. She was able to get 3 aces. I believe it was points 21, 22, and 23 to pull that game away. And then you hit 24. And then the last point of the game was a very interesting point. Now, at this time, I believe we're up 24 to either 17, 18, or 19. I should write these down before I do this. The interesting thing with that play is the ball there's a little volleying going back and forth, and the ball gets hit to somebody sets the ball over the middle and right to the low middle part of between the back row and the front row player. Zoe makes an incredible dig and hits the ball into the net up to the front corner in the 2 position, which is the server's 1, 2 is in front of that. And the ball hits the net. And you can go back on the video and watch this. The other team and even their fans start to celebrate because it's not over yet. And lo and behold, Noelle, one of my new players who I have seen improve throughout the year, just takes her arm, the ball's coming off the net, hits it, somehow rolls the ball over cross court and scores as the other team started to celebrate. And you can see, because you can't really see my side on the video, if you go back and watch the Facebook Live video, all the parents on the other side are clapping and like, yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, as the ball ends up going and ends up scoring, which is why I have told, and no, there's no offense to this team, because my girls have done this too. Do not celebrate until it is over. It will come back to get you, and it has in games. I've seen it. And whether or not the girl could get to it or whatever, still, it was a heck of a play by Noelle to play that ball off of the net and end up scoring. And it was done. We had done it. The sigh of relief. And it was almost just different because when we did the Berkeley one, we had come off of being a really, really bad team the year before, bringing a lot of key pieces back and winning that one. Again, we were the top team. You got to go through the tournament. This one was redemption for last season. Even though there's a new set of girls, my daughters wanted to win this one. This one hurt. And one of the players who was with us last year who aged out, she came back. Estella was basically like an assistant coach or a helper for our team. It was good for her to take part in this because my girls were sick. A lot of them were really, really sick in this game last year, and they still played it. They played their butts off. They just did not pull it out. But to come back, cap off, runners up last season, the perfect season, this one, not dropping that set and getting that win was incredible. Every single girl was able to contribute to this team, even the new players, even learning and helping the other girls how to help facilitate, teaching those girls getting in different roles that they've never done, developing with volleyball, learning how to play with a heavier ball. That's for some of them, higher nets, building a team. This was a team. This was not just a group of girls. This was a team. This was something that was built. I know I've been saying it all podcasts. I am going to bring it back up in the Berkeley one because this is important. This is something that Berkeley is missing. I will die on that grave when it comes to it. It will come back up, and I'm sure this will probably get out to Berkeley eventually. Guess what? I don't care. I'm not coming back anyway. So this was a team and a unit that was built for this, and they were able to do this with the fresh faces, with the experienced girls. One of the coolest things was some of these girls will not play for me again for various reasons. There's age things, there's going to different leagues, there's a lot of stuff. Ann and Natalie, we took that championship from them in that Berkeley league. I got them back, and I told Natalie early on, I will, not just me, but we will get you a championship. We will do this. This is her last time playing for me. Again, age matters in this because chances are good I'll be going back to a high school. As they go up, they go to different schools, a variety of things happen. So it was a mission accomplished. Same thing for Ann. She was with us, and on the previous one we came up short, and I wanted to get this for them as well as my daughters and Zoe, and just the experience to come back to be able to do this with some of these core players was an amazing thing to do, and it felt good. You could take that sigh of relief. Credit to the girls, the balloons were awesome, celebrating. You know, a lot of times I don't prepare these things out, what I'm going to say to them, or even when I come up and talk to the camera. Even now, there's no script. I'm just talking off the cuff. You know, it just for them to understand, you may never in sports, not winning a championship at any level can be tough to do. Having an undefeated season is really tough to do because there's a lot of factors. Having a perfect season is very, very hard. To not drop a set is very, very hard to do. These girls were able to do it. They may never be able to do it again, or maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they'll continue to work hard and do everything. But volleyball's a team sport. You got to have all the girls clicking, or it can go really, really south. You're meant to play as a team. It's not like a basketball where one player can just start shooting and take over. It's not going to happen in volleyball. It's a team sport. You need those other girls, and so it was awesome. It was an awesome accomplishment for them. I'm so proud of that group. Every single girl on that team. I just shout them out on here. Lucy, Ann, Natalie, Alina, Addie, Annabelle, Aubrey, Noelle, Zoe, Ella, and Estella, even Josh, my assistant coach. We did it. We won the Berkeley League. The funny thing with that was when we were bad, nobody cared. We got good the next season. The targets were on our back. The purple stuff came out. Again, we did branded shirts eventually, all sorts of stuff. I make a highlight video for the girls. Again, they're live stream the games. There's other stuff. There's always going to be a target. There is. I will talk about it another one later on. Volleyball is a gatekeeping sport. I 100% believe that from what I've dealt with in multiple states, multiple things for volleyball. It's not an easy sport to get into. You would hope that there wouldn't be all the kind of drama and cattiness and all that stuff, but it exists. When people let their jealousy and other things take over, ultimately the kids are the ones who suffer. Again, I've talked about it and I've said it, it's going to come back up. I've got some serious stuff I want to talk about on this MIGHTcast that I will. That's led to other things. So not that I'm trying to be controversial, I'm stating facts because I've lived through it and I know exactly what's going on. Those will be coming up, so I will not take 9 months off before I talk about my next one. But I don't want to take away from these girls and put it on the junk of adults. Amazing season for all these girls. Ultimately, here in a couple days, we are going to do a team celebration. I don't know if this will drop before that or if this will end up after that. But I want the team to get together and celebrate. I do awards for the girls. I want them to have that and be able to celebrate with their families and get these girls together one more time just to have fun with this and remember the moment of what they were able to do. Again, kudos to the Jefferson League. It is so well run. I love that league. That is my favorite league to be a part of. The coaches on all the teams are great. They're there to help other coaches. They're there for the players. I can genuinely say that that's what they're there for. No problems with any coaches in that league. I love from that one. The families are great. They're very close-knit in that community. So a lot of the parents from the other teams all know each other. They talk. They support the girls. It's just an awesome league. So I love that Jefferson County League. I would love to be able to get my girls into that school system. I am working on trying to become a coach in that school system myself. There's a lot that's going to be happening that's coming up in the next few episodes of this, but seasons, and as we continue to progress in the sport and where I see myself going, where I see my daughters going, it's just something I want to be a part of. I genuinely enjoy it. My daughters enjoy it. It was a great experience for us to end up winning this, and I hope it only continues to grow. There's a lot of good people involved in that league, and they're truly looking out for the athletes and their families and giving them an experience. So, like I said, a long time ago when I talked about it, amazing, and again, it was another year, another amazing experience. So, and again, for everybody else, thank you all for checking out this MIGHTcast. I know it went long, but people have been asking me to get back on this and talk about this stuff. I will. All the credit to the girls. We did it. Perfect season, 7-0, not dropping a set. Just awesome thing. And the support, the people watching the Facebook Live and commenting, thank you all. It does help. I'm trying to build this into something to offer. Whether I go back to school or I have a club, I'm trying to offer these experiences to people. Now, maybe there are some who can afford it. That's fine. It's just how many athletes, this is a whole other MIGHTcast in itself, how many athletes miss out on experiences like this and being able to do this. It's always, I get it every single season. And for anybody who wants to hate on me, you do not see the messages I get from the parents and from the athletes who go to the other teams. And they miss this, the tightness, the closeness of this team and what we're able to instill in these girls and build this. This is cultivated, this is done the right way for these athletes to be able to have these experiences. It's not just me. Yes, I created MTNeer. My daughters are part of this too. The families, the other people, the other players. It's an entire thing. I always end every year and I ask, there's these 3 questions coming into the beginning of the year, and then I ask myself at the end of the year. It's, did the girls improve throughout the year? Can every girl say that they improved? I would say 100% every single girl can say they improved from this season. Did the girls end up having fun and an enjoyable experience? That's another one. I would say 100%. Not always. Practices are tough. I will coach them hard to make sure that they get it correctly because I know a bad practice is nothing compared to winning a game. I know the highs of winning, so I coach you hard in practice. Can I say that they all had fun? Absolutely. Look at their faces. Talk to them. If you know them, they would say it. The last one, the most important to me, will the athlete come back and play again? This one is a true determiner. If I did my job as a coach and I created the right environment from the girls. Now, whether or not they ever play again due to them not necessarily enjoying the sport is one thing. You can like the experience, but maybe it's just not your sport, and that is fine. I don't believe any of these girls said, nah, I couldn't stand the season. The girls there was drama, the coach was mean, all that kind of stuff. It's not like that. I know it because their parents follow the group. You guys buy the merchandise. When I hand out the stickers, people want the stickers and stuff. It's the smiles, it's the connections that we create that do this. Again, it's not just me. It's an entire thing in and of itself. I believe this season I can check all of those boxes and just really, really happy with how this one turned out. That's the goal of every season. You're not always going to get that. Sometimes it's stuff you can control. Sometimes that's up to the players to control and how it affects the rest of the team. Again, later MIGHTcast to talk about. But I believe it was mission accomplished. Well done. Everybody gets to celebrate one more night. And then a bunch of us are back. We're doing different things. Some girls are ending up going out for high school. Some are joining different leagues. Me and my daughters are going to be in 2 leagues. We're leaving West Virginia and we're going to Virginia. I'm not moving. But I'm taking my daughters down to the Winchester area to start practicing and playing against Winchester competition. For anybody who doesn't know where I'm at, I am like 20 minutes from Maryland, 40 from Pennsylvania, and then on the other side of that, I'm like 30, 40 minutes away from Virginia. I am right at the tip. There's a lot of talent, and then DC is only an hour and a half away. Baltimore's only an hour and a half away. There's talent in this area in other states. MTNeer Might is branching out. I want to put my girls up against tougher competition. Same thing. They're going to be in an older age group playing older girls. Everybody in there is older. There are maybe 1 or 2 players who are younger who are playing up. But the age is still going to be an older age. I believe they can handle it, and I know they can. They will do so. We'll be doing that league. I'm trying to get them in another league, which may allow for a couple girls to come back and join us again. I don't know how that'll work. I'm going to do my best to see if I can get them back. like I said, I believe in the cohesiveness of the unit and the team and trying to keep these girls together as long as you can for them. So there's a lot of stuff to come. So continue to follow the page. If you want to end up getting, even though I don't have on one right now, if you want to get one of the championship shirts or sweatshirts, they are still available. They are the soft style. They are a nice one. I got this one. I don't know how much you can see. Hopefully you can see it. It's the 1, 2, 3. Might dropping that M down there. There's a lot of that gear. I will tell you, I don't make money on that stuff. Whatever it costs to like make it, I have to charge, I think, like 10 cents or 11 cents. That's what I end up doing. I do it so people can have it. You can support that again. Ultimately, it's great that people have it on. It goes to show the cause, but it's not for me to make money on it. It's just to offer that kind of stuff to the players and the families who want that kind of stuff. So again, thank you all for the support. I'm going to be dropping more MIGHTcast. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I got a lot of training things to talk about, coaching things. There's a variety of stuff. Because I'm back in deep in it, and I had a long time to think about the other stuff, there's a lot that I want to discuss, so there's going to be plenty coming back. Thank you all so much for sticking around hearing me ramble. As y'all know, if you know me, I got a lot to say, and there'll be plenty coming up. So thank you all so much. I hope you all have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you're at. Thank you all for supporting me. 1, 2, 3. Might.